like most of you should be able to just click on this, and then choose what you're doing. So if you're on Windows, just go for the 64-bit probably. You should be fine. With Mac OS, choose the appropriate thing. Linux, I have very little to say here online, since almost nobody is probably using that. But if you are and you're having any problems, just let me know. But you should just be able to click on the download. And again, the only reason to go with the 32-bit is if you have some kind of major problem with the memory on your computer. So yeah. Yeah, Mattia, or Mattia. I see you.
Hello, Professor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Mattia.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I've been doing it. I've downloaded. Like I did all my updates. I have a Mac.
Okay.
And every time I go download Catalina or the other one, it goes to my application. I click on it in my applications. It just goes back to the general screen of like JASP 2 applications. Like I can never get past that.
Yeah, you just need to click on the JASP and swipe it right whenever it's written application.
Okay.
Like that? Oh, okay.
Okay, good, because I was going to ask you to send me a screenshot otherwise, because I wasn't quite sure what the problem was otherwise. Great, awesome. Hey, this is what, this is why I miss having an in-person sort of thing. Yep, I got two people have raised their hands. Okay, Mattia, lower your hand because you were there. And Erica.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. I have a question. I downloaded JASP, but I tried both the Catalina and the High Sierra thing, and it said that my computer was like too old for it. So is it okay that, you see how it says download JASP 0.9.2?
Yeah, you should be okay. You should be okay with that. The one thing to bear in mind with this class is that some of the menus may have changed a little bit. So you may have more questions, and you may have things the way I show things may not work exactly the same way in older versions. But again, I'm using a Windows version, and the Windows and the Mac OS versions are not always exactly the same. So that could be a problem anyway, as far as I know. I don't know for certain that's come up in the past. Currently, I don't know. So basically, whereas you should be fine, in terms of the actual statistics that we're going to do in this class, you should have no problem using an older version.
Okay,
you may have difficulty in terms of figuring out how to use the older version from this class, but if that's the case, we'll figure that out.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. And then Damon, you had a question? Damon? Oh, yep. Got something else here. So just got a chat just asking about due dates. Don't worry about them right now. I'll be posting more about when things are due, just because the semester has not gone according to plan, and that's my fault in every way that matters. So I'll be fixing things up there. Like I said, I think almost everything should be fixed tomorrow. Not necessarily absolutely everything, but most things should be fixed tomorrow. So I'll be posting on Moodle then. My intention is by, let's say, actually just to make sure I get things done by the time that I know that they need to be done. Let's just say by 3 p.m. You should updates from me about most of what's going on in the class. Yeah. See, you've got a couple of chats here. Okay, so that's the thing is, so there's some questions here about how oh, okay, look, oh good, the class was helping each other. So yeah, just in case anybody's not looking at the chats right now, there was a question about not being able to get the data into JASP, and that's the point. That's why we're saying that saving it as CSV is you cannot, unfortunately, Excel is kind of a funky format, and you need a lot of libraries to be able to read Excel into other data formats. Yes, actually, I'm going to be posting. I will post this course, like what we're going through right now. I'll post this on Moodle, and there will also be a brief outline about the basics of JASP that I'll post tomorrow morning. That's actually, again, another thing that's on me that I should have put up when I put up the data, but I just didn't think about it, so sorry about that. So anyways, so you need to save as CSV because CSVs are universal files, and so, well, universal, but at least on any computer, basically any program will be able to read it. Now, between different operating systems, that's not necessarily true. So historically, traditional Mac and Windows options didn't work together. And yeah, on your computer, any CSV option would be okay, but you should go with that one that just says CSV with nothing else. Will be the easiest approach. That should work for. Sorry, my throat's getting dry, so I just took a sip of water. I sounded awkward for a minute there. So yeah, you should be okay with any CSV format under most circumstances now, especially the first two. So the UTF-8 version you should be fine with, or if you just scroll down a little bit further to the next one, just says comma separated value file, should be a-okay. Nothing should be a problem there. Yeah, and exactly, yeah. If you saved it with the MS-DOS, well, that's if you're on a Windows machine. If you save it as the MS-DOS version, there should never be any problems. If you had an older version of a Mac operating system, then you could run into problems there. So now I'm going to stop this share. Stop this share, and then I'm going to go to the actual JASP. Hold on. Screen. And here's JASP. So here we go. Hopefully everything should be okay. I'm going to browse. And then I've got everything saved here. All of this is going to be saved in all the way up here in my Dropbox. Classes, Mana 420, and then for me, this is going to be saved under GMSB student life data set. And I see I have another chat here. Let's just check. Yeah. Jade, I got that it was an updated outline with all the due dates. Yeah, I got that. So that's what I said. Probably tomorrow, and if not tomorrow, by Friday, new deadlines will be up. There'll be a lot of information about the class up tomorrow, but I may not have worked out all the deadlines by the time that I'm able to actually post this, because I've got a couple of meetings in the morning that I really cannot put off. But I'll try to get everything up as soon as possible. Major announcement was supposed to be the teams. Unfortunately, there were some additional problems, so I was going to put up I'll put up the teams tomorrow again by 3 p.m. So if you don't see something by 3 p.m., there's been some kind of major problem over here, either a power outage or a health concern. So the teams will be up, and then we'll sort everything. Like I'll sort everything from there. So here's a JASP, just to get to it. So now we've got, hopefully anybody not gotten their data into JASP yet, or at least anybody who's trying to. I mean, obviously I know since people are working together, sometimes you might rely on your teammates to do these sorts of things, but anybody who's trying to get their data into JASP, have they failed so far?
Hello, Professor.
Yeah, hit me, yeah.
Yeah, how's it going?
Yeah, hey, it's what it is. So what can I do for you?
Yeah, so I just had a quick question. So this is in groups, you said, right?
Yeah, it will be. So like what we're doing today is just showing you how to do this with the data that you'll be using for your groups.
Do we choose our own groups, or do we use like?
No, that's why I'm going to post it. Like, so actually, so people so again, this is part of why things were a little messy, is just I've had, well, with the power outages and some other issues, I haven't had access to my email for the last couple of weeks, and I let people choose groups, but I wasn't able to get access to that. And I knew that several groups had already emailed me that. And so that's the problem. So as well, I want to make sure that if you have contacted me and said that this is my group, I want to make sure that that's the group that you have, but that lots of people don't know each other. And so then those folks I'm going to assign to groups, but I want to make sure, because this happened in my other class, because I was able to like make this happen more quickly in that class, where I accidentally, because somebody who was in a group they weren't actually in the email that they sent me. I assigned them to a different group, and I just want to make sure that doesn't happen again here. So I want to make sure that everybody's got that. And again, I had really frustrating difficulty with accessing my email over the last couple of weeks. So that's part of the problem, and just then being sick and all the other sorts of things that are going on. So I apologize deeply, but that's the thing. So like so in fact, I would actually encourage anybody who, even if you've already sent me an email, it would be convenient to send the same email to me again, so that everything's just compact. But if you haven't, I'm going to look for it. I'm going to search for everything, so don't worry about it. That's not a requirement. If you sent me an email, I'll find it.
Excuse me, I just have a question.
Yeah.
Is it okay if we sent the email? Like I sent it a while ago.
Yes. Yeah. Like I said, if you sent it a while ago, you could sit on that. But if you're at all worried, then just send it again. And
is it okay if it's on your Concordia?
Yes. Yeah. The Concordia one. That's the trouble. That's the one I've been having trouble accessing. But I do get it. And everything seems to currently be stable. So I should be able, like when I go to do this tomorrow, everything should be absolutely fine, or at least I'm hoping, unless there's some bizarre thing like a power outage that happens again. And I'm sorry, last week just sucked for those things. No. The email is fine. In fact, the one thing I would say is if you're at all concerned that I'm not getting it, send it to both my Concordia and my Gmail accounts. Then, like, if you do both of those, there's absolutely no way I'll miss it. Let me just check. I got two participants raising hands. Damon, yeah.
Oh no, that was from before. But I guess
before.
like, while we're at it, it's basically the same groups that we created from the beginning of the class.
Yeah. If you send it to me, that's fine. And like I said, like if you want to make sure that I've seen it recently, send it to me again. But I'll be looking. I'm checking everything. So, and obviously, if I screw up, I screwed up, and you can just let me know, and I'll fix it.
So
like I said, that's what happened in my other class. Like I
5 people?
accidentally just didn't see that there was one person in one group and I assigned them to the wrong group and people emailed me and I said, oh, my mistake, I'll fix it.
Okay, sounds
Yep.
good. So it's assignment for 5 people, right?
Like between like 4 and 5 is the recommended. Like I've approved up to 7 before, and as low as 3 before. So it doesn't have to be 5, but somewhere I would say 5 as the average of 3 and 7 is what we're looking for.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right, and Chiara?
Yeah, I saved the document, the Excel like you wanted to, but now I don't know how to put it in the JASP.
Okay, so in JASP, what you'll want to do is you'll go into the file and go to open, and then to computer, and then you should be able to like either click on browse or maybe like some of your other relatively recently opened document folders will be there. But you should be able to navigate, like if it's in the right format, you should be able to navigate to the folder you saved it in. And if you haven't, there's a possibility you saved it in, like you accidentally saved it in enough format that JASP can't read, so it won't see it. And if not, then there may be a more difficult problem or a more specific problem that we have to find. But if JASP is there and you've saved it as a CSV, you should be able to find it.
Yeah, it works now.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
thank you.
Good, no problem. Okay, I got more things. Oh, my Gmail is just S, my first initial, M, like Michael, Spain, like my last name, @gmail.com. Yeah, I think in general, yes. But again, I'm going to basically, like at this point, I don't want to overemphasize this, but basically just because it's taken me so long to get this semester together, basically, and this is usually true in this class anyways, or at least in my version of it, the first 2 assignments, people get full credit anyway. So I want people to work on them so that you get experience with it. That's why I'm going to still assign them, but you're going to get full credit on the first 2 assignments. So don't worry about that. And that's, like I said, that's the way I usually run in this class. So I wouldn't worry about that much. Okay, yeah, I got some more hands raised. Wait, here we go. Chiara again, yeah? Or did I not lower yours?
No, that was from last time. I'm gonna.
Okay, yeah. And Damon, is that still from last time?
No, this is a new question.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
I believe you answered it, but I kind of forgot what you said again.
No worries.
It was I was trying to save the file, but it said there's too many sheets, so like it couldn't save it. So
all you got to do is just choose the active sheet. You should have you should usually not have any problem with that. Like Excel should be giving you the option to either choose the active sheet or choose some other sheet. Is that working?
I'll try it out and I'll let you know. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
No problem. Just close that. Okay. I want this. So here we go. Wait. I had the data open. Where is my? There we go. So here is my actual data, and I'm just gonna pull this across here just so we can see a little bit better. So all this is now this is like if in any other class you've ever used SPSS or Stata or any statistics program, JASP is going to be a lot like that. The only thing to know about JASP is that it is built on, it's basically just a reasonably nice graphical user interface to the R programming language. And I've already mentioned R today, but very much in passing, but R is a programming language designed for doing statistical analysis and graphics. I love R, it's what I use mostly. But you don't have to worry about that in general. There are certain circumstances where we will be writing a tiny amount of our code in this class. But in general, it's not something to worry about. Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, so it's not going to be like JASP is not going to be fundamentally different to any sort of spreadsheet like statistics program that you've used. The only thing that it will be a little bit different from is it does have some notable distinctions from just Excel in and of itself. And the one thing I will say here, because this does come up, people ask questions about this occasionally, is that even if you have the statistics package for Excel, Excel does some statistics very badly, including ones that we will use in this class, like regression. It has some traditional problems there. Excellent. Damon, I saw your message, and good. So I wouldn't worry. So as far as this goes, all we're really going to be trying to do here is to just do some basics, just introduce some of the ideas here. So what you can see here is we've got, this is organized as like a spreadsheet. The one thing to note here, and if you have any familiarity, if you've ever used SPSS at all, you'll see that each column has this different sort of, hopefully everybody can see, I'm actually not sure if this is coming through for you guys, but hopefully everybody can see my cursor. Can you see my cursor?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So what you can see here is that different columns are different variable types. And so you can see here, if I click on that type, so here I've got a ruler and here I've got this sort of Venn diagram sort of thing. I can click on that and that'll open this up. And so we can choose scale, ordinal, or nominal. And that's something we're going to talk about in the lecture next week. Well, the lecture proper, which I think next week is probably going to be, the lecture proper is going to be slides, a recorded slide cast that I post like I've done in the past. It'll be about an hour, and then we'll do a live session as well. But just to know that, like at the moment, just the distinction that people know is that basically scale variables are things that are numbers. So things like, I mean, there's a reason they use a ruler for this. That's what it is we're trying to talk about things that you can kind of think about as being along the same length, the same lines as height or weight. So in the psychological domain that we often deal with, things like IQ or personality traits or managerially rated performance are going to fall in this domain. The other main one that we're going to use is the Venn diagram one. Like, we really won't use this ordinal one, so don't worry about it. We'll talk about it a little bit in the slide lecture next week. But you don't really need to worry about it for the purpose of this class. I'll just mention it so that people know what's going on. So basically, we'll use scale, which is just the literally numbers that you can think of as being analogous to length or weight, or honestly temperature, in either metric that you care, or any metric that you care about. And then nominal means naming. So these are variables where we use numbers to assign a category to something. So we might say, like, we might look at biological sex, for instance, as a nominal variable. And so we might say that men are 1 and women are 2. We might say that women are 1 and men are 2. We might say that men are 0 and women are 2, or the other way around again. So nominal, the important thing is that the numbers don't mean anything. They don't convey anything about, I shouldn't say they don't mean anything. I just should say they don't convey anything about order or magnitude or structure in that way. All they're doing is just saying that thing 1 is not like thing 2. That's all that they're doing. So that's when I say choose a nominal variable, it is a category that we're assigning things to. And so that's all those are doing. And that's going to be important for kinds of statistical analyses that we talked about or briefly talked about 2 weeks ago, like in terms of like mean differences and t-test sort of and ANOVA type things. That's all going on here. There's nothing special here. All we're looking at, these are variables that let us say, is the average in group 1 different than the average in group 2? So, and we can do this pretty simply. So let's just say, take a look at that with something. What's going on here? Okay, so let's just actually take a look at a very simple t-test here. So what we're going to do is going to take, so you'll see, so if I click on this t-test category, and so again, the t-test, all we're trying to look at is with a t-test, what we're talking about is we have a scale or continuous outcome variable. So a continuous dependent variable and a independent variable that is nominal with 2 levels. So again, something like experimental versus control group or men versus women. In this case, what we're going to look at is full-time versus part-time and study hours. So I'm going to do t-test, and you'll see that there are several different versions here. And like the main thing here is like, and I may have mentioned this earlier in the class, I tend towards being a Bayesian for a variety of reasons, but we're not going to use those, so we're not going to worry about it. So the big deal here is to worry about the independent, the paired, and the one sample t-test. So a one sample t-test is where you just have like a single mean and you want to compare it against a number you already know or already think. So if you want to say like, yeah, Karam, yeah.
Hi. Okay, so here, what are we testing?
Well, that's the thing is like it depends on what your hypothesis is. So in this case, we're just going to say like the hypothesis is going to be, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that full-time students study more than part-time students. That's going to be the hypothesis that we're testing here. We could just say that full-time students and part-time students study differently from one another. And I'll explain the difference about that in a little bit more detail. But it could be different depending on what we're working with. So like if you think about like the Morisano et al. Goal setting study, one of the main hypotheses, well, the main hypothesis was there a difference in mean GPA between time 1 and time 2 for the different groups. And again, so like, let's ignore the different groups, but we just say like amongst people who had the goal setting, was their GPA higher in the second semester than in the first semester? That's the kind of thing that we're looking at here. Or again, like if we were just comparing, like within that semester, just comparing the experimental group, the group that got the goal setting intervention, to the control group who did not, would say, was the GPA of the experimental group, the goal setting group, higher in semester 2 than the control group was in semester 1? So let's just actually take a look at this. Let's look at how this works, and I think hopefully that'll help. I'm going to go into t-test, and in this case, so what I just described with the Morisano study, if we were looking at semester 1 versus semester 2 for the goal setting group, that would be a paired samples. A one sample t-test would be something like if I had a group of sick people and I wanted to see if they had a fever, I would get their mean body temperature and compare it to, I'm American, so I know it's 98.6, I think it's 37, about 37 degrees Celsius. And if that's not exactly right, I apologize. But the basic idea is like we'd want to like take like we had a group of people who were sick, and we wanted to see if fever was a symptom, like that we're all sick with the same thing. Like we all knew they'd been exposed to the same previously sick person, and we wanted to see if fever was a symptom of it. We could just take their temperature, take each person's temperature, get the average of it, and compare it to a particular number. That's the one sample t-test. So we could compare that to, say, again, 37 degrees Celsius, if that's what we were concerned with. These ones, this one, none of our data is going to be structured right for the paired samples t-test, so we don't need to worry about that. You could conceivably always do a one sample t-test, but it is extremely uncommon in management. So it's possible, like on your individual project, that you might propose one of those. And if so, you can ask me questions about it, but we're not typically going to do that. So the independent samples t-test, this first one, there's a reason that it's first. This is by far the most common t-test that anyone's going to do. So you just go to you go to the t-test menu, go to independent samples t-test, you click on it, and here what you're going to do is, what you have here is your group, your dependent variable, and your grouping variable. So your dependent variable is exactly what it sounds like. So in this case, I'm going to choose, because of what we said before, we're going to look at student status, so part-time versus full-time status, and study hours. I'm going to put study hours as my dependent variable, and then full-time, part-time. And again, if you're concerned, like some of these variable labels may be confusing. That's the other file I posted today. It's a version of the survey that these data were taken from, with annotations that explain both the variable names and their coding. So it's called a coding sheet or a coding key. And we can go into more detail on that if people have questions. But the basic thing is you should be able to look at that and be able to figure out, oh, this variable is, you can look at the like it's attached to the question. You can say this variable name is about this question, and this is the way it's coded. And coding, when I say how it's coded, all that's saying is which number is assigned to what. So in fact, actually, before we do this, I'm just going to take a look here. Here's let me just click on my full-time, part-time. So here we've got its value and its label. So actually, here we go. I'm just going to stop this for a second. Just go up here. Hold on. Go here. Just go here. I'm just going to download the coding key again, because I haven't in a while. And then I'm just going to share this guy. Okay. Share. There we go, share. So this is what the coding key looks like. So you can see here that anonymous, this is just the ID. All that is just a number that goes to each participant. Nothing major here. So you can see here, full-time or part-time student. That's coded as full, like the variable name is capital FT underscore capital PT. That's what we've been looking at, which I've said was full-time or part-time student. And all it's saying here is 1 equals full-time student, 2 equals part-time student. That's the main thing to take away from the coding key for that variable. Here, looking at this, what's your major? Major. 1 equals accounting, 2 equals finance. Let's just go to something that's a little bit, maybe a little bit trickier. So during your last academic term, did you ever feel stressed? Please circle the degree to which you found each of the following factors stressful. So here we've got coursework, that's stress C. So stress C is a question about your coursework. And then because this is a numerical scale, it's just going to be 1 equals not at all satisfied, and 5 equals very, or sorry, not at all stressful, and 5 equals very stressful. So if you have any questions about what's going on with the survey that you're looking at, with the data that I posted today, what you need to do is look at this. And if you see something that doesn't make sense, then you ask me. Absolutely. But this is your first stop, is you go to the coding key and you say, what's going on in the coding key? The coding key should be done well enough. Like if you're building a coding key, it should be done well enough that anybody should be able to look at the coding key and figure out what the data mean from it. Now again, since you're newbies, and again, like I said, and I don't mean that as an insult, but you are newbies to this, like, so you may have difficulty with it. If you do, just ask, don't worry. But so here, I'm gonna go back to sharing my JASP screen. So here, I'm just going to go back here, go back to my t-test, go back to independent samples t-test as the dependent variable. I am going to, oh wait, no, I don't want to do that. That's not what I want to do yet. Come on. Let me just stop the share, go back to my JASP. Okay. Okay, there we go. That'll help. Sorry about that. I just want to do something else before we get to that. So here we go, JASP. So here I want to click on, so full-time, part-time. We saw that one, we just looked at it. I just want to click on it. So if I click over here, this is going to allow me to change. So I could say this one's a scale variable. It's not, so I don't want that. So I'm going to click back on that. So click on like the icon. So most of these things, it's going to be a ruler or a Venn diagram, put back to nominal. But here I'm going to click on this, and I want to change the label. So one we said was full-time student. And 2, based on the coding key, we want to put this as part-time student. So as you can see, like by doing that, and I just click over here, all done, no big deal. So now that's the way it's going to show up, so that it'll make my results easier to read. You don't have to do that as long as you know what the numbers mean with your nominal variables, but recoding the labels that way can be very, very helpful, especially with things like major, where there's a whole bunch of them they get confused on. So t-test, back to independent samples t-test. I'm just gonna put in study hours is what I had said we were gonna talk about. I'm just gonna put in study hours as my dependent variable. And again, study hours, like we talked about a couple of weeks ago, we know what 0 study hours looks like. We know what 20 study hours looks like. It is a number. We can break it down in any degree of fineness that we might want to. The one thing that might be confusing down here is our grouping variable. Well, here, since we're taught, since the hypothesis that I mentioned that we might be interested in looking at is full-time versus part-time student, that's what we're going to put here. So again, you can drag, like you can use your cursor to drag things across, or you can just click on it and tap. And I could put in multiple dependent variables for one grouping variable, it doesn't matter. And then down here, there's a lot of things that don't matter that much. So here, we're just going to leave everything as student t-test. If you're really, really concerned that there are wild differences in how variable your groups are, you can click on this one, the Welch. I'm not going to be concerned with that one because I don't care. The one thing that we will be concerned with here is in hypothesis. So hypothesis here, we can look at this, and so we can click this. This will be the default where it's already clicked is group 1 is not equal to group 2. That's what we call a non-directional hypothesis. So we're saying like maybe full-time students study more than part-time students. Maybe part-time students study more than full-time students. And you could see this coming from either direction. You could say, like, you could have the hypothesis that full-time students are more committed to being students, so they study more. You could also see it as part-time students are only part-time students as they have more free time to study. So either one of those could work. You could be just like completely in the dark and just be like, I don't think full-time students and part-time students are the same in how much they study. So you could click that one. Our hypothesis was that our full-time students, or the way I stated it earlier in this lecture, was that full-time students would study more. So that's what I'm going to go with. So group 1 is greater than group 2. We could also put it, like if we thought it was the other way around, we thought the part-time students studied more than full-time students, we could put it this way. I'm going to go here. And now I'm just going to open things up a little bit so we can see this better. So here's our t-test. This should be, yeah, this is the one we're looking at. So this is the t-test of whether or not full-time students study more than part-time students. So the t is 0.553. The d, the degrees of freedom, which is just essentially how much more variable the t distribution in this case is more than a standard normal distribution. This is 1.60, and it's really just a function of the sample size, nothing more. Here's our p. Here's the p-value, so you could see, like we talked about 2 weeks ago, like a p-value less than 0.05, everyone agrees on that's, okay. There are a handful of people who have higher standards than that, but just generally, if it's less than 0.05, it is statistically significant. And so we'd say there is statistical evidence of a difference between these groups. If it's between 0.05 and 0.10, people sometimes say it's marginally statistically significant, or it's trending towards statistical significance, or it's this, it's that. But basically they're saying like, well, there's some evidence that it's statistically, like there is a difference between these two groups, but it's not overwhelming. And that if it's above 0.1, then there's no evidence of statistical difference. And so that's what we got going on here. So the one thing here to know is, like, if you have a t around 2, it will be statistically significant. You don't have to look at much more than that. You probably don't need to worry about that. Let's just look at what we got if we click on these other groups. Okay, if I click on group 1 greater than group 2, it's exactly the same with just, well, the p-value is different, but all the t is going to be the same. The t is going to be the same. The degrees of freedom are always going to be the same. The p-value will be different here. So this one will be twice as large as this one. And then this one, there's a chance, again, this is in the wrong direction. So what we will see here is if we kind of, if I click on this bit here, so under additional statistics, I click on descriptives, I'll also get means for each group. So we have this full-time students, well, we have a lot more full-time, so like way more full-time students than we have part-time students. And what we have here is the mean for full-time students is a bit over 14, and the mean for part-time students is a bit under 13. So based on that, what we can see is like, so just looking at this, eyeballing this, just looking at the numbers, full-time students have longer study hours than part-time students. Now, based on both this, which is, so just saying they're not the same, and this, which is saying they do study more, it's a not statistically significant, right? Because we got this p-value, this is a very large p-value, it's basically 0.3. Just get everything back so I can see it easily. Oh, really? Sorry, I just kind of lost what I was doing there, which was annoying. So this is not statistically significant, even though, yeah, and this is going to be the case. Like in general, every group you look at is going to be a bit different. But is that difference important is what we're trying to address with statistical significance. And so this one is like the difference is statistically small. So here, let's just to follow up on what we were talking about like 2 weeks ago, I will introduce ANOVA, and again, we'll ignore the Bayesian stuff. These things are roughly equivalent to the stuff that I talked about before. So we're just going to bring up just a standard, what this is called, just an ANOVA in this case. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to do study hours as my dependent variable. In this case, it's going to be fixed factors. I'm going to use a major because as you saw in the coded key, we had lots of different majors. And down here, I just want to do, what is this? I think it's under additional options. Nope, not additional. Where is it? Contrasts. Oh boy, what happened here? Sorry about that. There's the version of JASP seems to have changed how it talks about things. Additional options, I think that's where I want to go. Yeah, descriptive, yeah, so under additional options, again, just like under ANOVA, just you have to go, or under t-test, you just have to, in this case, go a little bit deeper. You got to go to descriptive statistics. So here, and again, I could have like written down which each major was, just the same way that I did before with the part-time versus full-time. So here with an ANOVA, what we're going to pay attention to is there's a bunch of junk up here. You don't really need to pay attention to it. What you need to do is pay attention to the F and the P. And this is just what this is going to say is if the p-value is significant, which is to say that it's less than 0.05. If that's significant, it's saying that at least one of the groups that you're looking at is significantly different from the other groups. It's going to tell you anything about like which one's highest, which one's lowest, which one is different, any of that. All it's going to tell you is that one of them is different. Now,
sir?
Yeah.
If it's less than 0.05, right? Not 0.5.
Oh, sorry if I sorry if I, yeah, 0.05. Yeah, sorry if I said that wrong.
Okay, cool.
It comes out wrong frequently when I talk. Much easier to write. So yeah, 0.05 is the conventional level of statistical significance, and you know, I could bash that all day long, and I would, because it is a conventional level. There's no good reason to like hold that up to anything special, but again, if we have a p-value less than 0.005, or sorry, 0.05, you would call it statistically significant. And almost everyone, except for like a handful of really hardcore statisticians like Val Johnson, would say, yep, statistically significant, lots of evidence for it. And if it's above 0.1, everyone will say not statistically significant. And then this is the thing where management, well, lots of social sciences in general kind of hide out in if it's between 0.05 and 0.1, we'll call it marginally statistically significant, and that's acceptable in this class, which you can kind of interpret as saying like, oh, there's some evidence there's a difference here, but not a lot. I got a couple of chats here. Let me just take a look at them. They just pop up. Chats. There we go. Okay. Okay, so it looks like, okay, Zach, it looks like you were having some problems, but you found them? Sorted it out?
Yeah, it's all good. Sorry about that.
Cool, cool. No worries, no worries. I just, you know, just the system tells me that you had something to say, and then, you know, it doesn't really help me figure out that you solved the problem until I look at it. So I just wanted to make sure things were cool. So over here, and again, like this is a thing where I'm just going to stop the share here briefly and then go back over to, I got it. Yeah, okay. Let me just share my screen again with the coding key. So here with major, we could look at this and we could see that 1 equals accounting, 2 equals finance, 3 equals management and BA, 4 equals international business, 5 equals marketing, and 6 equals other. So like we can always, so again, even if we don't recode things in JASP, you can always look at your coding key and see how things are coded. And the importance behind this is just the way you code things consistently, which again, this semester that doesn't really matter. Like this matters more in other semesters where the students in this course would be manually entering data into Excel sheets for me to combine together. You don't have to do that, so you don't have to worry about this as much. All it is information for you. Whereas if you were actually doing data entry, this would be important procedural information for you. It would tell you which number you're supposed to put in when you're typing this into whatever spreadsheet or database program we were using to keep track of the information. So in this case, you don't need to worry about it that much except for interpretation. So if you find it easiest to stop that share and then go back to JASP, to go back here, so with major, we could go here and I remember this one was accounting. So here now we could have that done. And so as you can see over here in my descriptive statistics, now 1 has become accounting, and 2, I'm not going to share it. I'm just going to hop back over to take a quick look at it. 2 was finance. So I'll just do 2 as finance. Except, man, I can never spell finance right the first time. I still didn't. There we go. So you can see, and then it'll show up over here. So again, that's the sort of thing where you don't have to do this as long as you're keeping track of what the numbers mean. It can be extremely useful to do so. So if you do this, like if you change all of the indicators to what you want, then you can just close it out and go back. Yes, Aisha, you have a question?
Yeah.
Aisha? Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, I just wanted, sorry, because I was trying to go back and forth between Zoom and system. So I missed when you were changing. How did you do that?
Okay, so yeah, you just want to click on up here. Like if you go into like the top of the column header, you can either click here, and this will, if you need to, you can change like what kind of variable you're working with from like a scale to a nominal variable. And if you click on the actual name, then it will bring this up, and then you can just click in here. And I think this one is management, if I remember correctly. So, right, and so
okay,
then
got it. Thank you so much.
Yep, yeah. Once you've done that, then it'll just show up with whatever you're doing. Like that'll like any changes you make over there to the data, like to the data editor. So so the side over there should propagate through their chats. Let's just see. Oh, there's someone in the waiting room, huh? Oh my goodness. Sorry about that. I wasn't getting flashes for that one. Sorry. So, so there you go. I mean, so those are the main things. That's everything for how to use JASP for what will be the second assignment, and just in general for everything that we've talked about statistically so far. We will have another one of these in 2 weeks, I think, about regression. So I'll show you, like, but it should come as no mystery. Like, it's going to work in a similar way. We're just going to go to the regression menu, and we'll use both this one, the correlation matrix, and the linear regression options. But in terms of use, those ones will be easier. In terms of interpretation, they're possibly more complicated. But all that's going on here is what we're looking at is just seeing, like, well, the means are different. The means are always going to be different between the groups that we look at. Like, if they were exactly the same to even like 1 decimal place, that would be shocking and surprising. What we want to see, what we're interested in is there statistical evidence that they are different? And in that case, whether we're looking at the t-test or the ANOVA, the evidence that we're looking at is is the same. What we're looking at is the p-value. So like here, we just make the data side small so you can see everything in the ANOVA table. So here's the ANOVA table, and just one thing as a preview, the regression also has an ANOVA table that is interpreted very, very similarly. But all this is saying is this is what the F here, the F statistic, is what statisticians or statistically minded social scientists often call an omnibus test. So here, as you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different groups in this ANOVA. So all this is saying is what I was referring to before, like the F test, which is the F and its p-value combined. All that is saying is, well, like in the Sesame Street language, it's like one of these things is not like the others. One of these things just doesn't belong. And that's all it's telling you, is that at least one thing is different from all the others. So you could have, like, out of these 5 groups, you could have, or out of these 6 groups, you could have 5 groups that were statistically indistinguishable from one another, but one of them was much higher or lower. That would be enough. That's all that's going on here. And as far as we're concerned, all this other stuff, like the sum squares, degrees of freedom, mean square, this is all junk. All we're concerned about is going to be all we're going to be concerned about here is just the F and the P and the means and the sample size. So as you can see here, we've got sample sizes, that's what the ends here are. So we've got 33 accounting majors, 36 finance majors, 47 management majors, 13 of whatever this was, 12 of whatever this was, and 21 others. No big deal. So like when we're writing this up, that's what we're going to report. You're going to report the mean and the sample size for each group, what the group was, the F statistic and the p-value, and then you're going to interpret it, which in this case would be like after I've reported all of these means with their sample sizes, I'll say that the F was, I would probably not report it to this, I'd probably round it to 1.6 or 1.58 if I was feeling frisky. And the P reported probably to 2 decimal places under most circumstances. Like if the P is vanishingly small, like if it's reported as 0, which shouldn't come up in this program, but it could, you would just report it as less than 0.001. So those are the things you report. So mean, oh gosh, sorry, I keep clicking on that and making a mess. So mean, sample size, F, P, and then interpret the P. If we go back up here to our independent samples, t-test again, report our mean, our sample size for each mean, the t statistic, and its p-value. That's all you need to worry about. in terms of reporting, and then you would interpret it. So in both cases, these were not statistically significant by anybody's metric, no matter how we would slice this. Neither one of them was statistically significant. And so like we would conclude that there was no support for any hypothesis. So like this is the one that I actually stated a hypothesis for. So I'd say, like I had said earlier in the class, that we could test the hypothesis that full-time students study more than part-time students. And again, what we have here is the raw evidence is that that's true, right? So full-time students, Karam.
Sorry, just a quick question. So here for the independent variable, it's the full-time, part-time, and the dependent is study hours?
Yep, exactly.
For the ANOVA, what did you choose the first one?
So with the ANOVA, it's when you put it in, it's just got different terminology in it. The dependent variable was
they call it fixed variable,
still
but
study
I just
hours.
It gave me different numbers. That's why I was asking. Maybe
Okay,
you did
got different
else.
numbers?
Yes.
Ooh. That's interesting. We might need to look into that just to see if there's like some difference between versions that happened here, just to make sure. But so here, again, the dependent variable was still study hours. And the independent variable, which is the fixed factors in the ANOVA. So if we go here, we click on this, we go to ANOVA, we can choose, here's our dependent variable. Same as the t-test, but the independent variable here is the fixed factors, and we're going to leave this WLS weights alone. We don't put anything there. Is that what you did?
Okay, so no, I think I made a mistake.
Okay, good. Well, good. Like if you made a mistake and you got different numbers, okay. If you did the same thing, you got different numbers, then we got something to worry about.
Okay, so for the dependent, it's study hours. For the fixed factor, you put major.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. And so that's the thing. It's like, so again, the terminology between this is going to be like the way that JASP or any program handles, like what usually, especially what they call the independent variables for different analyses is going to be different. So this whole thing about fixed factors with the ANOVA pull down menu is just a remnant of like old school statistical talk. Like that's how independent variables are talked about in classical ANOVA-based experimental design. So that's why that's the terminology that's there, is that's what people who are well trained in this stuff, who like taking like behavioral science courses, like so like someone like me, like a PhD in psychology who's taken a course in ANOVA, we recognize that. Like that's the shibboleth of that guild. And if you're unfamiliar with the term, shibboleth is just shibboleth is a shibboleth. It's a word that people use in order to identify themselves to one another. So you can think about it like a simple version of that word as a code word. It identifies you as a member of some class, guild, or group to other people who are a member of that class, guild, or group. So like that's why fixed factors is there, is if you took an actual proper statistics course in experimental design, that is what you would call the independent variables. And in experimental design, they would be typically analyzing using ANOVA. So like the traditional ANOVA class would call those fixed factors. That's why it's there. It's the independent variable. So I think that's everything that I wanted to cover in terms of how to use this. As far as it goes, it'll probably take, I think it'll probably take my computer at least an hour to sort of buffer and process this, because it's just very slow on video things. But I'm going to I will try to post these, I'll try to post the video from this session to the regular YouTube channel tonight or early tomorrow morning. Basically, whenever the video processing is done, I'll try to get it up. I'll try to upload it to YouTube as soon as possible, and it will take however long YouTube takes to process it. to make it available. But so you can check the regular YouTube channel for this video if you want to go over things. I'll try to make it available. Like I said, I'm going to try to make it available as soon as possible. And yeah, I'll post the link to it to the Moodle well, I will, as soon as I have a direct link to the video, I'll post it to Moodle, but it may not be immediately available because there's some processing that YouTube does that might take a little while. So I'll post the link as soon as it's available on quote unquote on YouTube, but you may not be able to actually view it as soon as I post that. It could take, my experience there is it could take up to, let's say, 20 minutes to half an hour after that's available for you to actually be able to see the video. Oh, another chat. The first assignment is, yes. Oh, crap, now I've got the first and second assignment confused. I think the second assignment, no, the first assignment is based on this data. So that's why, like, it's going to be much, like the deadline, I'm going to give you quite a bit of time. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to have, like, the intention on this is, I haven't posted the assignments yet. I'm going to post them tomorrow with everything else, with the group assignments and the assignment tomorrow is the plan. And again, I'm really sorry about that. And so I'm probably going to give you probably even 3 weeks for the first assignment, the second assignment. And while those are still out, I'll probably post the third assignment, but that one will have a really generous deadline. And then the fourth assignment will be due with enough time so that any learning you need from it, you can absorb before the individual project is due, but very much towards the end of the course. And so the individual project, I'm not sure yet when the individual project will be due. We have usually, like, when there's tight interrelations amongst the instructors, we will try to have them due at the end of the actual course period. But other times I've had it I've had it due into the final exam period before the final exam. The final exam, our current intention is to have it be proctored using the online proctoring system. I don't know. I don't have any personal experience with the proctoring system, and I haven't gotten a lot of information. Yeah, exactly. I haven't gotten a lot of information from the individual who from, like, we don't know. We don't, as in, like, the 3 instructors for this course, we don't know a lot about what's going on yet. And so I'll let you know as soon as possible. Yeah, I can answer that final question that just went out to everybody offline. I am not going to answer that in a format that's available to everyone. Suffice it to say is I don't know at the moment, and so the intention, because it is the preference of the university for exams to be proctored, we are going to try to make it proctored. But that may not happen. But just so you know, I'm one of 3 votes in, like, because it will be a uniform, final across all 3 sections. And I'm gonna, and so, yeah, yeah. So that's nice comment. So I don't know for sure what the format, what the administration format of the final exam will be. I'll take a moment to explain. So what the final exam will be in terms of its actual format is the same as it is every semester, which is you will be given a novel reading similar to, but generally shorter. In fact, it'll probably be, if we stick to the usual final format approach, it will be 2 readings, similar to, but much shorter than the readings for the class. And then it will be a series of questions about those readings that use the material from the course. Yeah, Chiara, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. You mentioned that you were gonna give us information in this week or like in 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know if I heard it.
No, sorry. No. I'm going to give you information tomorrow about everything else that's going on, except for the exam, because the exam is a thing that's in flux. We don't, like, I have relatively little control. Like, I have a 1/3 vote, in fact, probably less than a 1/3 vote because I'm not the coordinator, over exactly what happens with the exam. No. What I was saying is the first, and like, so I'm going to be posting both the first and second assignments tomorrow along with the group assignments, and those will be due in 2 to 3 weeks, and then I will, while those are still out, post the third assignment, but that one will have a fairly generous deadline, because that's going to be the first one that is, I don't want to say graded, because like I will grade the first and second assignments. Like if you don't take them seriously, you won't do well. But if you like make mistakes on them, that's not going to be a problem. That will get feedback, but it won't be a problem. But if you like just fuck off on them, then pardon my language there. I shouldn't have said that. But if you like just kind of like, if you don't take them seriously, then you might not get full credit. But if you do take them seriously, you'll get full credit on them, even if you totally screw them up. So that's the thing. It's like, as long as like, and that's the thing is like, I mean, the exams and the final project, I mean, you can get lower grades because of mistakes on them. But with the assignments, if you take them seriously, you get full credit pretty much. Like you have to do something monumentally screwed up to get less than full credit on the assignments. I think that might have been that might have been a slight misinterpretation. That I'm saying that in general, like I grade generously on the assignments. That's the main thing. Taking them seriously is the main criteria. Like put the work in, and you are on track for an A. Oh wait, oh no, I see what you're saying. Oh, sorry, I missed the minus in your comment. Yeah. Like if you take them seriously, you probably got an A-. Probably. Like if you took them seriously, but you completely screwed everything up, maybe a B. But you're not going to get a low grade. Like if you take them seriously, you're not getting a low grade on any of the assignments. Not on the assignments. On the final project and the final exam, yeah, that's possible. It is possible to get a low grade. But with the team assignments, it's going to be hard to screw those up. Yeah, Chiara, you had another question, or was that the previous one?
It was the previous one. Sorry.
Okay, Zach, then I guess you're the
Yeah, sorry. So I'm not sure if you'd already mentioned it. The individual project, the bigger one.
Yeah.
We'll get the information on that.
Oh yeah. The information on that one is always like the specific information on it. I think even the first week I gave the general details on it, that it will be a soup to nuts research project with data that I provide to you. But like the specifics on it, those will come out around typically, actually in a couple of weeks. Those will come out sometime, usually around like somewhere between week 8 and week 10, depending on how the semester is going.
Okay, and like what kind of because in the course outline it's supposed to be due the last week. What's like
yeah, and so this is something that I'll say in words, but I will never commit to writing. Is just in general, it's a different course coordinator than we've had in the past, but just generally with this class, we've had an attitude towards that as long as people aren't abusing it, we have a fairly soft deadline approach with that.
Yeah, but
so it's due the last week, but usually we'll accept papers for another 7 to 10 days.
Yeah, but I mean more in terms of like what's the work expectation for it? Like, is it like
the work expectation for it? I mean, it's not easy. I don't want to say it's easy, but like we're gonna give you a solid 3 weeks, and that should be, again, because we're giving you all the data, there's nothing there to like, you'll have to do some library research and writing and some data analysis. But so we'll give you three to somewhere between 3 and 5 weeks, depending on exactly how the semester is going. And that, you know, as far as it goes, it shouldn't be, well, it shouldn't be unduly onerous. I don't want to give anybody the impression that you can blow this off.
Just like in relation to like what it has been in the past, like in class.
There's no, like by that one, there should be very little difference between what it is in the past. Like again, the difference will always be if we wind up assigning it a little later, the difference will be I'll expect it due later. So like the workload for the project should be pretty, like if you've had friends who've taken this class in the past, the workload for the project should be the same. The only difference is you're not collecting the data. So during the semester, you essentially, this semester is, well, more onerous for other reasons with all the distance learning and stuff, but under normal circumstances, you'd have to collect all of the data that we're going to be using for it. So I'd say like overall the project is actually less work, but in terms of like what you're actually going to see of it, it's exactly the same.
Okay.
Yeah. Zach, did you have another one or?
No, sorry, I went to lower my hand, I guess.
Oh yeah, no, I had already lowered it. Sorry, yep. Okay, so that's pretty much everything for today. Like I said, I'll try to get this stuff up.
I have a question.
Okay, we'll talk to. I will based on a comment that I got from someone. I will talk about. I will at least mention to the other faculty that students are not comfortable with the proctored exams, and I'll see what we can do from there. I'll bring that up. So yeah, Chiara, you had another question?
Yeah, it's just I'm a bit concerned about, because in 2 weeks then we have like 1 month left of class, and I feel like it's gotta be a bit overwhelming. I mean,
I also want to point out, like, this will be a little bit more, just because of where it is, but this is a heavily backloaded class. It has always been heavily backloaded, and the only thing thing I have to say on that is usually there's also a midterm and an extra assignment. So yeah, it will be backloaded, and this one's slightly more than normal, but overall this course is a lot like what you're experiencing. You have substantially less work than normally happening. So yeah, it is backloaded, and I'm sorry about that, but it is always backloaded. It's a little bit more so, but in general, what I found is this class always runs a little slow. It takes a while to get this one off the ground. Elisa?
Yeah, sir, I just wanted to add on to that. Like, can you please post the assignments this week?
Yeah, no, like I said, they're coming up tomorrow. Like the assignments are coming up tomorrow no matter what.
Because we'd really
well, barring a lightning strike, which is pretty much what happened last week. But yeah, they're coming up tomorrow as early as I can get them up.
Appreciate that.
Yep.
Can I just say something quickly?
Yeah, go for it.
It's just, I didn't mean the class overwhelming. Sure. It's just the fact that for the September and almost all October, we hadn't really like for the project done anything.
Well, yeah, no, you would never do like that. That's true. I mean, like that's
assignments were
true.
supposed. The assignments were supposed.
Oh, the other assignments, yes. Like I said, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. I am deeply sorry about that. But I want you to have them and work on them because they are important for establishing what you can do for the final project. And that's why I'm saying like those ones, you can see them as being essentially ungraded, even though I'm going to give you the same kind of feedback that I would normally, because I want them, those are going to be there for you. Because I want, like, if you make a mistake, I want you to learn from it, but I don't want you to pay for it. Do you follow? Like that's my intention with this is just like, I mean, the fact that this class is going a little like, I mean, like I said, my experience with this class is it always goes slower than I want it to. Always. But this semester is particularly slow just because, again, my kids got sick and then I got sick and we had some problems with power. So I'm really sorry about that, but that's on me. And so I want to try to move this so that it will be, well, I want to try to do this so that it's best for you guys. And I'm sorry that it's been uncomfortable. Like this has not been the happiest that I've been with the way a class has gone, and I'm sure you're in the same boat. Like this semester is, well, I will leave out any adjectives, but I can imagine that you know where I'm going with that. So that's where it is. But I will try to make sure that basically everything is up to speed tomorrow. I only have one meeting on my schedule tomorrow, so there's not much to get in the way. So, like I said, barring a lightning strike, everything should be pretty good. I'll try to get us all up to speed, get us on board, make everything work as well as possible. And again, like I said, the one thing is, you know, going forward, just know that you can email me, you can ask questions. My other class, I've gotten a lot of office hours requests. This one I haven't, but partially, you know, the other class has had some work to do. Not a lot, but a little bit. So, but just as it's coming out, know that you can email me and we can set up a time. Most of the time during the week, like after 3 p.m. is tough because I got to go pick up my kids from school and stuff. But before that, like most of the day when we're not in class is good. So I'm happy to meet with you as an individual or as a team to try to answer questions. So, you know, going forward, as things are out there, I'll try to make things as smooth as possible. And in fact, I would really like to. Having more office hours appointments would provide me personally with more structure. That would be lovely. Would be quite nice. So I'd appreciate, like, so if you have questions, please ask. Karam, you have another question?
Yes. So yeah. Tomorrow you're going to post the instructions for assignment 1.
No, I'm going to post the instructions for assignment 1 and assignment 2, but they will not be due at the same time. They will not be due at the same time.
Yeah, I understand. What I mean is,
and the team assignments. The team assignments should come out tomorrow as well.
That wasn't my question. I was saying, so for assignment 2, you're going to also post like a separate data, or it's the same data that
the data for all the individual assignments that you use data for are going to be the same, and it's this is the data that's already here.
For all the assignments?
For all the for all the team assignments. There will be a separate data set for the individual assignment. And that I'll be posting around, like I said, in probably not more than not more than 2 weeks. Just where the other instructors haven't posted it yet, as far as I know, when we haven't had any conversations about amongst the three instructors about the individual assignment. So we have the data, and as far as I know, there's going to be no changes to it. So we can post it possibly earlier. And when I bring up talking about people's feelings about the exam, yes, the final exam is the same for all sections, just based on the question that just came up in the comments. So we'll just, based on what comes up there, because we should, like, the instructors should probably have a meeting at some point, or at least a discussion. We'll see. We might put it up. We might put the data and the assignment up earlier than we would normally do. But again, I don't know if that helps you or hurts you, because it provides a distraction from the other things that are happening. But again, it will be up relatively soon, with instructions on how to complete it. And again, if anything, with that, the deadline can go later. The one thing that I will say is I have in this class, one time I extended the deadline for that past the final exam, and that was a bad idea for me and for everyone else, because that just didn't work. So it will be due, like, it may not be due like the last day of classes, but it will be due before the final exam. Okay. Anything else? All right. Well, if there's nothing else, that's everything for today. And I'm just going to close that. I'm going to stop the share. And, okay, yep, people are signing off. So I'll give it just a second more if anybody has a question. Nope, doesn't look like it.